Hey everybody, there you are. And today we're going to talk about something that's really passionate to me. You guys know I've been planning on starting my speaking career. I was at Secret Knock on stage. I've got other stuff coming up, and I thought, who can I talk to? That can give me feedback and maybe a little direction and a little insight. So I called my buddy Tom Ziglar, and that's who's here. Hey Tom, are you here?
Man, am I here? I'm excited. You always light my fire, Tigo. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man. And I wanted to talk with you because, like I said, I had the opportunity to go on stage a couple of weeks ago. And you know, I already have the bug to be a public speaker. And I said, the Ziglar program, I need to get Tom back on, do a quick live, and we could talk about how do you get started? Who actually should be a speaker, and are there different kinds of speakers? And who better to ask than my buddy Tom?
You bet. Well, you know, anybody who has something to say should be a speaker. So that's a pretty big audience.
He said anybody who has something to say. Okay, so how do you get started? I mean, I know you're in the legendary Ziglar family, and everybody knows I'm a humongous Zig Ziglar fan. So I know how you got started. But if we weren't as blessed to be a part of your family when we were born, how do you get started?
Yeah, this is the great part about it is you can start from anywhere in the world, from right where you are. And it starts with just starting. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but my father, Zig Ziglar, he did over 3,000 presentations before he ever got paid for one. How did that happen? Well, it happened because in the profession that he was in sales. He was doing a presentation type sales where he had a 45-minute presentation, and he did that over and over again. And when you start getting good on your feet, you start practicing, you start to learn how to watch the response of who you're speaking to. And then that's probably the most valuable thing that as a speaker you can have, is to understand where's the audience, what is it that they need, what is it that they're interested in, what resonates with them, because you're there for them, you're not there for yourself. And so a great place we always recommend to people is Toastmasters. Toastmasters, you can go in, you can practice, you can get comfortable on your feet, you can get great feedback, and you can start to watch the people in the room.
Now, you mentioned a couple of times getting comfortable on your feet. And I hear all the time from people that even when I walked off the stage of Secret Knock, somebody stopped me and said, I am terrified to be in front of the camera, to stand in front of the stage. How do you address fear when someone comes to you and says, I want to be a speaker, but I'm terrified? What do you tell them?
Yeah, well, first off, that's awesome. You know, you can take an old mule and you can take a thoroughbred. And which one do you want? You want the thoroughbred, right? And its legs are going and it's looking all around, but that's what wins the race. So it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be a little bit skittish or scared, like a thoroughbred might be, but you got to hit the gates running when you get there. And so you prepare, you practice, you do it in front of the mirror, you do it on camera, you do it in a friendly group like a Toastmasters, and you get all those butterflies flying in formation. And then there's something else that we teach at Ziglar, and that is you've got to master what we call the first burst, which is you just really get the first 3 to 5 minutes of what you're going to say down. You just get it down, you memorize it, you practice it, you share it with people on the elevator, you share it with people on the phone. And so when you get out there and you give that first burst, it kind of settles the nerves and allows you to get going.
So in other words, you're telling me to annoy the heck out of my family and just
you have our permission to do that. Yes.
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. Let's talk about somebody like me. I'm 180 plus episodes into Expert Talk. I've been doing this almost 2 years now. Done a couple of marathons. I was on the stage of Secret Knock. I've got a couple of stages coming up. when do I know it's time to reach out and possibly be a part of the Ziglar program? When do I know it's the right time for me?
Yeah, so it's when you want to go to the next level. It's when you're so passionate about your message that you want to deliver it in the most effective way possible because it changes lives. When you believe that, then that's when you need to reach out and say, "Hey, I need a little bit of help," because it's a craft, it's a profession. And Dad, I watched him. I mean, when I became aware that he was a speaker, he was already world class, but he constantly worked on his presentation, his delivery, the words that he used, because he knew there was always one extra person he could reach if he just raised his game a little bit. So when you have a life changing message, the time to reach out and go to that next level is now.
Awesome. Now, when you reach out to an organization or an event and you say, hey, I want to toss my hat in the ring, maybe you're getting paid, maybe you're not. More than likely, you guys, you're not when you first get started. So you toss your hat in the ring, you say, hey, I want to come in and this is what I speak about. And they say, send me your package. If you don't have Tom as your buddy, then how do you know what your package is supposed to be? What are you supposed to have in a package?
Yeah, and it really depends on the circumstance. Usually they want like a one-page simple bio. Hey, this is my track record. This is my resume. And then maybe 2 or 3 speaker topics that you've gone and delivered, especially if it's a paid event. And then they might want to see a video. And we kind of discourage sending the full hour-on presentation video. A little bit better to do a key story or a highlight, your own main point. And some people then create a highlight reel as well. And what they're really trying to decide is, who referred you? Do I trust them? Number 2 is, does this person have a style and a demeanor that's going to fit with our group? And number 3 is do they know their stuff? And so you want to send them just enough to do that.
I totally get it. Now I got another question for you. You send your package out and you're finding things in your wheelhouse and you go, okay, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Most of the things that come back when you get some yeses, y'all, you're going to get some no's, just get over it. When you get some yeses, they're small events. It's okay. I have no problem with that. But then all of a sudden you get a package or you get a phone call or a letter or an email that says, hey, we're inviting you to be on our stage for our 10,000 people. Have you ever been scared? What do you do when it's like, oh my gosh, this is bigger than anything I thought I would ever touch?
Yeah. Well, the very first talk that I gave, so this is my first stage, really. I was interviewing my father on stage, and there were 15,000 people in the room. Woo. So that'll get your heart going, right? It was an arena. It was up in Pittsburgh. It was where the Pittsburgh Penguins play. It was packed. And then I realized, hey, wait a second. It's actually easier to talk to 15,000 people than it is 50 because you can't see them. The lights are blinding you and everything else. And so you just got to put yourself in that mindset and that frame. Hey, the bigger the audience, the better, the easier it is. However, I do have to be more prepared and ready for it. And that's really when you want to call a coach because it's a different dynamic when you've got that big of an audience.
Well, I want to thank you, my buddy, for coming on and just sharing a little bit. Hey, you guys, if you're listening and you're wondering how to get in touch with Tom Ziglar, guess what? TomZiglar.com. And I'm hoping he'll come back because he's got so much information about speaking. Really, Alan? Really? He's got so much information about speaking, writing, understanding who you are, and being able to stand there in your own power. I learned from his father just listening to tapes. Now I can talk to Tom, and you guys can too. Reach out to him, TomZiglar.com. And as always, I'm Tigo, and I'll talk to you next time. Really, Alan? Really?